Hello, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. I'm your host, Puesto Enrico, Puesto de Taquiendo de Palmeose de Pipioples, y bienvenidos a este live stream. Hi, Kangan Krishna Sarma Pagu, and hi, Sarah Kielioni. Let's see if you still show up when I close it. Yes, you do. Okay, good. So the topic tonight is which stories from your life. I've been thinking about that. Hello, Jerry like the mouse. I've been thinking about that because, well, there's some choices, choices we make, choices we don't make, um, paths we don't take, paths we do take that end up being decisive in chapters or in our entire lives. For example, Spacey's here right now and living with us, and that very much defines this chapter of our lives. I find it very interesting hanging out with Spacey. He's got there's something about him that he's not here at the moment. Actually, he's outside. There's something about him that's very. It's comforting to have him around. Like I feel like he cares in general. Not that he displays a lot of behaviors necessarily that correlate with what one might deem to be caring, like taking sorts of actions or whatever. Turn that on, Windows Firewall. Stop being stupid. Okay. There's a quality of authenticity to him, probably stemming from the fact that he's got FIA slot, who's pretty active. It's unconscious role function, basically. And the way that he seeks FE as well, the way that he seeks validation, of other affirmation, it's like you feel genuinely appreciated. Without him saying a lot of about it. And he said the other day in a live stream, IHPs are like a social tool that I use. Well, IHPs are something like that too. And there's something very natural and right and good about the whole process here, the whole way that it played out, the way he ended up staying here. Hi, Matt Rabahi. How are you this fine evening? Are you made of cheese? That's the first question everybody must ask themselves before they walk out the door to go do something. Am I made of cheese? If so, am I made of enough cheese? And if so, is it the right kind of cheese? These are the days of our lives. These are the cheese of our lives. So Spacey and I are working on a song together that I wrote a new song, and I'm having him do some of the singing on it. Voice. The fact that you pronounce my last name correctly, I've been corrected, is such an honor. Just lucky. That's all it is. Just random luck. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing Kankan Krishna Sarmapagu's name right. And I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing Sarah Kilian's name right. But Matt Rabahi, you got lucky, I guess. So, stories that define our life. Well, obviously, this story is going to be a significant defining story in Spacey's life, right? It's like this will be the period of time when he came and he lived with host Eric for God knows what reason, right? Just out of the blue. But the more I get to know him, the more I'm happy that he's here, and I think it's meant to be. It's So, but this will probably be a story that defines some of my life as well. Here's the actual thought that um, got me thinking about this topic, which was Becky one time told me that when you poop, you should put your legs up on a footstool so that your knees are higher than your hips, and then the poop will just fall right out. And I've been keeping that in mind ever since. And when I poop, I poop like that now. And I was thinking, that is the power of one person's words. It's like I spent 47, 48 years pooping wrong before Becky told me that. So, that's a story that will define my life, right? It's like the story is it's better to poop with a footstool or put your feet up higher than just sitting like regular, like in a chair, like you do on the toilet normally. And I never saw that movie, but anyway, that's made a big difference in my life. It's like it's surprisingly so much better. And then another such thing, Becky had a couple of important bits of sort of wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, for me. She was the one who framed things such that, like, listen, if you don't let him use the tool function to solve problems, then you can't stay in that forever. It's even better for women going into labor in that position. Huh. Well, I'll keep that in mind next time I go into labor. But there have been a lot of equivalent SI things that I've learned from Kimberly that sort of shocked me that I didn't know. Like, I didn't realize that when I would get headaches, it meant that I needed to eat more. Where is the animal? The animal's gone. Unless you're talking about Spacey.
I'm the animal.
Yeah. Now we'll get you in frame there. Now you can see the animal. So, I didn't realize that headaches were almost always caused by dehydration and/or hunger. But they are. And I didn't realize that. I didn't really get that how much energy level had to do with whether you'd eaten or not, and how your mood had to do with whether you'd eaten or not. And now I really get that much more clearly. So, certain things that one learns, little details one picks up in life, can change the entire course of one of the little mini narratives in one's life. Another example is the one I talked about last night, where Corey told me that simple reality that if something sounds familiar, but you can't put exactly your finger on where you've heard it before, but it sounds kind of familiar, then that's a good thing. You should keep that. So, that has massive influence on my life, right? If I had been hearing words from somebody else who were saying the wrong words to me, maybe I would have dismissed them or whatever, but maybe I never would have come upon the right course of action. Normally one doesn't think of pieces of advice as being very significant, but I've been giving this piece of advice lately that I got from an old cartoon a long time ago when I was a kid. They used to have cartoons in which whenever people would travel away, like men would travel from a family in a cartoon, the matriarch, be it an aunt or a mother or whatever, would say to them as a sort of generic thing that they said, don't forget to wash behind your ears. So I've been giving that piece of advice to people, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some individuals to whom I've given that piece of advice who, when they get in the shower, they go, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna wash behind my ears. I used to not do that." You know, it wouldn't surprise me if that in fact had that impact on a couple of people. One more fun fact, especially for men peeing in that position is even better than not have a hernia.
It's a hernia again?
I
don't even remember.
Hi Taylor, sup homie. I'm still struggling here with my technology problems. I'm on Kimberly's shit ass crap computer with 3 gigs of RAM.
You need to just make a decision on, how you want to do it. Take care of shit.
Yeah, I know. I do. I need to make a decision. Matt Rabbit, he asks, who saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Just saw it this morning. I haven't seen it. It looks interesting.
I want to see it.
I'd like to see it. Yeah. I typically have liked Tarantino movies in the past.
Yeah.
CM8 have a shit ass crap computer too. What is CM8? It was good, man. I agree with Spacey. I agree with Spacey too. I don't know what we're agreeing with him about.
Agree with me on what?
The fact that I just need to make a decision.
Oh yeah.
Well, I know, but the thing is,
but look who's talking, right?
Yeah, the first time it broke, I made the quick decision. It worked out fine, except then that one broke, and it's like I'm not sure if we've gotten a refund for the first one yet or not. I didn't really felt like talking to Kimberly to look at the bank thing to see what the deal is with that. I don't really want to get a new one before we get the refund on the old one. We have to return it. Kimberly returned it. It's like that shit, So that's what it boils down to. Being around Spacey is really making me have a clearer understanding of SE. When you look at the ESTP socioeconomic description of all your functions, does that resonate with you, Taylor? Classic Tarantino and Mercy Star literally walked out of the theater thinking I was going to be stepping into Hollywood in the 1960s. That sounds interesting. Yeah. So SE is that thing. It's the making a decision, pulling the trigger, doing it. And it's something that you just see that the INTP needs impetus to act. It's external. If you rely on them for their own impetus to act, you're lost. And I in a lot of different areas that aren't creativity related, I also need external impetus to act. But I certainly have plenty of impetus to act regarding the computer. Last book everyone read. What's the last book I read? The whole book? I got partway through this book on the war in Iraq not that long ago, written by a soldier who had served there, I guess, and it was talking about something. It's like it's basically like they were in the Hearts and Minds division, but they were going in with invasion forces, and it's like nobody knew whose Hearts and Minds they were supposed to or what they're supposed to do, or it's an interesting book. I got about halfway through it, and then I just sort of probably misplaced the book. Typical thing for me to happen. That's what happened with one of Audra's books. I got partway through her book. I was actually enjoying it pretty well, and I think I misplaced the book. I used to read a lot of science fiction fantasy books with dragons, swords, and magic and stuff like that. I enjoyed those a lot. I'm biased, so I generally love Dan Brown books because of its page flipping suspense that builds up in the feel of the movie. Dan Brown. I don't think I've read any Dan Brown books.
Yeah, they're all kind of the same. It's a pretty good story though.
What's it about?
You know, an older, slightly washed up, but respected and intelligent, handsome man, kind of stumbles upon some ancient secret symbolism in mythology. And he stumbles across, some beautiful woman who's mysterious, and for some reason he can't bang her in the end, but there's always that sexual tension there.
But he can bang her in the front?
What?
Well, you said she didn't like anal, right? Oh, that's not what you
know.
meant by in the end? I'm
That's
sorry.
the general story. And there's usually some evil shadow organization that he stumbles into,
Shadow organizations have such a habit of being evil. I've read Douglas Adams, yeah. I've probably read some Terry Pratchett, sure. I don't remember what's what exactly. I know Douglas Adams books. I've read those. Terry Pratchett books, I can't think of any specific titles. He seems to team write with somebody else, doesn't he? Been reading Man and His Symbols for a year. I like books you can read a few pages and think about it for a long time and apply it to your own life. I like to fucking get from beginning to end as fast as possible. Yeah, I listened to this really good podcast of Gaiman's on Tim Ferriss's podcast. What an unfortunate last name, Gaiman. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was good, sure. I enjoyed a number of his books. I used to read all kinds of shit, man. I used to be a big reader. Back when I was in school, or even in my 20s, I read all kinds of fantasy, science fiction shit. My dad would get it at the swap meet. He'd say, this is good, and I'd read them. But books, it's kind of it's a tough medium, right? It's a tough medium. Shamanda, Matt bought that book 2 years ago and never finished it. He loves Jung, though. He and Jung were lovers in Berlin. Let's be honest, Jerry was a prick. Of Tom and Jerry? Yeah, Jerry was a bit of a prick. But of course, Tom was always trying to kill him, so. I have read Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. You have to invest a lot of hours in books. When I invested a lot of hours in books was a time prior to when I was investing a lot of hours into making stuff. So it's like you can consume a lot of media or you can make a lot of media. You can't do both. You just don't have time. I used to read a lot of my childhood. The habits changed to videos now. Right on. And live streaming, King Krishna Sarma Prabhu, don't forget about that. When old host Eric starts live streaming, King Krishna Sarma Prabhu goes, okay, that's an activity I could enjoy. And she joins the live chat, typing things, having them read out loud. Matt says, very true, Eric, about consuming versus producing. Yeah, I need to. It's a good thing to try to manage my media landscape in that regard. Like, to try to spend some time consuming some new stuff, to try to spend some time consuming some old stuff, try to spend some time producing some new stuff, so try to spend some time practicing some old stuff. But the older I get, the more compressed time feels to me. And then I'm also trying to direct more attention to my SI and my relationship and just sort of be more balanced and stuff. And time just seems the tightest of all commodities. And yet, a lot of times I'm just fucking around doing whatever. So it's a conundrum of a quandary. Yeah, well, Matt, you gotta find a medium that's consistent with your inclinations. YouTube is a great medium for me because it's consistent with my inclinations. The reason I'm live streaming right now is because I was feeling like this kind of saddish feeling or something that I get sometimes that usually means I need to live stream. And then when I'm done live streaming, I feel better. Jordan Spike says, unless you do the audible thing with a faster read time while wearing headphones doing anything. I don't know what that means. I can consume way more than I should at this point in my life. You're just doing R&D, Matt. No rush. You never know when you'll use your consumption in the future. Shamanda's right about that. No rush in the sense that you probably won't get very far trying to force yourself. You got to find something that you naturally come back to, that you naturally want to do. You're not having to be disciplined about. If you have to be disciplined about something, fuck it. That's at least a starting point. And then maybe eventually after you realize like, okay, I can play and produce at the same time, then you'll start necessarily going like, all right, well, I'm tired of sort of half-assing shit. Yeah, Kimmy! Oh, your fucking thing! I forgot about it. Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness. What's going on here? How you doing, people? What? What? Thank you, Catherine. What do you mean a large amount of responsibility? You guys aren't giving me any fucking responsibility. This is embarrassing. It actually looks like it came out okay. I had it on very low heat. Favorite color? Dude, I can't answer questions like this. This is blue, Spacey. Oh, first kiss age 21, I think. Hey, you're even dorkier than me. Yeah, seriously. Catherine Liu thinks you're handsome, Spacey. I know. That's why he's going to be the singer in my band. I always feel like audiobooks are cheating and all, but then again, I've never actually listened to one. Audiobooks are fine. You got to have the right person reading it. If you've got a good reader, then fine. Favorite color is blue. Favorite food is Octopus. First age kiss is 21. So anyway, I was cooking Kim some salmon, and I forgot what I was doing. And it went in there for about 35 minutes instead of 20 minutes. But I had it on very low heat. So I think it actually turned out just about perfect. Which is pretty good. Anyway, perfect is better than poor, fair, or something like that. Spacey did have a large amount of responsibility in his hands there for a minute. It's true. You have kids, Host Eric? Yeah, I have one kid. Her name's Delilah, and she's 20 years old, almost 21. She doesn't live with me. She lives with her stepmom at the moment, or her stepmom's family, anyway. She and I get along great. It doesn't feel like much of anything anymore. But when I had her and she was little, yeah, it felt very natural to me. It was like right off the bat, I thought, okay, this is what I wanted. This is what I thought it was going to be. You know, I was a little bit disinterested in the parenting part or the first couple of months. You know, it was a little dull. Like I didn't want to really be involved with it, feeding it that much. And I would, but you know, the older she got, the more she and I bonded, and even when she was like 3 or 4 months old, she and I got tight. And then when her mom left, then at like 3, then she was all mine for 5 years or something like that, basically. And that's what I mean. Eventually, she got a new husband who wanted to take advantage of her part of the child caring time. So I had a new wife by that time. So we did end up doing that multi-couple thing. That was annoying for me. It was just everything was going fine. So she got this new man who was like, "What? You're not seeing your child enough?" But Delilah turned out great. She's great. I love her. No, her husband was fine. I saw him the other day.
She was pretty fucking funny the first time that she bumped into me in person.
Who, Delilah?
Yeah.
What'd she say?
Well, she turned into like a complete fucking ditz for like a minute. Just like embarrassing herself in front of me and then just moved on with her life.
I don't know why she would do that. Well, she's not used to necessarily interacting with people like you. She's ESTP. No, I didn't have Brett busy yet. She might. I don't know. She's been a little time with him.
Have I been supervised? A little bit. It's always good to hang out with people who have like your polar function in first or second slot. Who, you know, who'll be like, "Hey man, let's do some polar stuff."
It's a drop bowl, Matt. So I pull the bowl all the way through. If the chamber were bigger, I might need to pull out the bowl to clear the chamber, but I had enough lung space to clear the chamber without pulling out the bowl. Plus, the bowl's hot because I've been dough torching.
Right.
People who vote to outlaw abortion should be put into a lottery where if their name is drawn, they have to adopt a child entered into foster care. Shamanda, that's ridiculous. Think about it. First of all, there's no shortage of people who want to adopt healthy babies. So you don't need to do anything of the sort. Second of all, because a child is not well cared for and goes into the foster care system, does not mean that that parent would have aborted prior if there was somehow more encouragement. In fact, it was legal prior to that child entering the foster care system, and they're still entering the foster care system. So there's no possible way you can make that linkage. It's insane. If you were to make abortion illegal and you'd see an increase in actual need for foster care, then maybe you could make the argument that there's some linkage there. But even so, that doesn't. The fact that respecting individual rights in one frame produces negative outcomes according to another person's perspective in another frame is irrelevant. You can't justify rights violations that way. It's ridiculous. That's insane. Just because a kid enters foster care doesn't mean they would have been better off aborted.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, why don't you just go kill all the kids in foster care right now, then, Shmanda? Having said that, I'm not necessarily saying I would be in favor of straight outlawing abortion, in the sense that if an abortion occurs, these people should be punished with jail time kind of shit. It doesn't. I'm not sure that's going to do any good, and I'm not sure. Well, I mean, Amanda says, I'll have to go back and listen to what you said and respond later. You talk too fast. Okay. Well, the gist of it is that the fact that there are unwanted children in the world is not an argument in favor of abortion. It's an argument in favor of better family planning, maybe. An argument in favor of contraception, maybe. It's not an argument in favor of abortion. Should I order Pizza Hut right now and spend the money, or should I just make a sandwich? Make a sandwich, Matt. You're better off just making a sandwich. There's no reason to spend the money. Yes, you need to eat. You're a little drunk. You should also drink some juice or some water. That'll help you to stay hydrated.
Yeah, you should make sure you're hydrated.
Yeah, you should take a couple of Tylenols too in advance. Always a good idea.
Actually, it probably reduces the swelling in your brain.
And it won't reduce the swelling in your penis. So that's good news if you're planning on getting laid today. Okay, Shanda, but you call it a right to abort. But it's not a right to abort. You can't have a right to do harm to another distinct entity. At best, you'd have the entitlement to do so. If, in fact, you have an entitlement to abort, or a right to abort, then the fetus is property, in which case you don't have that right. It's co-owned by the co-creators of it. So you have to get approval of the father. You can't have it both ways. Either it's property or it's a person. Which is it? If it's property, you're subject to the approval of the father. You don't have any right to touch anything inside your body that's that baby, because it's co-owned. Whether it's on your property or not, that is a distinct piece of property that's co-owned. So you have to adhere to the father's wishes about it. Now, do you want that world? Is that the world you want, Shmanda? Okay, I'm fine with that world. But you can't have it both ways. Either it's property or it's a person.
No, I'm glad you made that argument, because I rarely hear it made. The fact that If it is property, then the father definitely has shared property of the child. Like,
shared ownership, right? The fact that it's parked in your yard doesn't mean it's still not half my car. Life begins at conception. That's the definition of the word conception. When life begins. We have a word for when life begins. It's conception. It's the definition of the fucking word. The thing that is growing inside the mother is a distinct organism of some species. It is indisputable fact. What species? Homo sapiens sapiens. It is indisputable fact. So you have to come up with some sort of normative explanation as to why it is okay to kill that distinct individual human being in the womb, and it's not okay to kill it outside the womb. So that's fucking simple. You don't have any such normative justification. There's nothing that extrapolates out that works. Period. Now, you may still want abortion, but you cannot possibly think and be a rational human being that you can win these arguments. You can't win them. I've already tried. They're not winnable. You're wrong. It's not semantics. It's not fucking semantics.
No, it's not semantics. He's fucking right.
It's not semantics at all.
Yeah.
There you go. If you want things to be fair, if you want it to be property, Desert and TJ has a point. If it's property that both of you are in the process of making, either party can pull out at any point and abort and cause it to be aborted. No, I don't want that baby. You have to go undergo a forced abortion now. If that's how you want it, Shamanda. Remember, you can't have it both ways. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about cases where the father disagrees with the decision to abort, Shamanda. The fact is you don't want it treated as though the father were a co-owner, nor do you want it treated as though we're a human being. So how do you want it treated? If you don't want to treat it as property, and you don't want to treat it as a human being, then what the fuck is it? Set and match. Are ENTJ strong TE types workaholics? Yeah, sort of. My dad was not really a workaholic. I gotta say, my dad is a TE Don, spent most of his life doing jobs he really didn't like. And he did it because he planned to retire early and have an estate to manage and do all that shit. And it worked for him. Hi, Brittany. You know, he did the 9-to-5 thing, and he got his PhD so he could maximize his pay grade with the county, and did all that ESTJ shit. You know, like work the system as it's been worked before, as they say it work it, and yada yada yada. So, and it worked out well for him. And then, of course, you know, it helped that my grandmother died and my parents inherited her estate, which was not unsubstantial. So then my dad retired at like 55 or something. I think it was around 55 with a golden handshake deal where, you know, it's like he's got it all set up. So he spent the last almost 30 years vacationing. It works out fine for him. Even though he worked a job he hated for most of his younger life, he spent the last 30 years vacationing. So that's ESTJ wisdom for you, I guess. You know, I respect the hell out of them. That's a weird saying. So you can have your cake, but you can't eat it, and then why have it? Well, it's an idea that hero land. It is a weird expression. I looked it up not that long ago. It's you got to look at it yourself. The etymology of it is weird, but basically, it just says you can't have your cake. You can't have your cake and save it for later, and also eat it now. Yeah. Yeah, you can't eat it and keep it, is what the saying really should say. Matt Bravahy has got it right. Jordan Spike, TE down here. Workaholic is relative. I have 6 projects at the moment, but I still feel as though I have freedom to enjoy it. Yeah. And the thing is, I would say I'm actually much more of a workaholic than my dad ever was. The thing is, I'm not, I mean, it's totally, it's on a medication cycle though. So I go through periods of time where I don't work at all, you know? And then I don't know, I'm wrestling with my moods lately. I'm wrestling with, what do you mean why are you bringing these other matters up, Shmanda? The question is very simple. Is the thing inside of a woman a piece of property or a human being? If it's a piece of property, it's co-owned. So if you agree with that and you want to have all the implications of that, then that's fine. It's not a separate matter. Those are natural and unavoidable implications if you choose to make a property. So embrace the whole thing the way you actually mean it, or retract that claim. You know, you've got no choice. All right, everyone. It seems you guys don't understand fucking cake. Do you want the cake or not? Decide. As little rascals say, choose or die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why people keep even bringing that up. Like, I'm pretty sure plenty of fathers who had no choice when their child was aborted would be perfectly happy paying for the kid. Like,
the thing is, I'm not fussy about that because that's not how it played out for me at all. I got the kid. Nobody had to pay any child support. And she technically had half custody, but she didn't really use it very much. And so it was fine. It was the way I wanted it to be. I had my divorces. I had 2 divorces. And neither of them cost me shit. So I didn't have any problems. I don't have those fucking problems where it's like I've been wronged by the system and women or something. It doesn't. That's not part of my vision here. What I'm saying is we need a logically consistent understanding of this thing, Shmanda. You can't both claim that it's a right and then not deal with any of the implications of that claim. You're not dealing with any of the implications of that claim. And so that's why I have to scold you. I have to sass you and scold you. I have to do this. Because that's not good reasoning. The tempo in the room calms down when you enter and a bright light shines. Oh, Srati Chandran's here. Hi, Srati Chandran. Winston's mom's getting agitated by my angry tone. Yeah, abortion is a touchy subject. People get very upset about it. I don't care about abortion at all. I care about people making bad arguments. That bothers me. So when I'm president, I'm not going to make abortion a priority of mine at all. It's not a priority of mine.
Yeah, it's a sideshow issue.
But no, Shmanda, it's not a difference of opinion. Look, I'm a debate coach. I'm telling you, it loses all the arguments. I don't give a fuck about abortion. Abort away, I don't care. Fuck it, not my kid. But you can't pretend like you win arguments you don't win. That's a matter of objective analysis. It's simply, there are no winning arguments for it. So don't fool yourself. Don't lie to yourself. I mean, I try to argue in favor of pro-choice plenty of times. I have successfully defended Plan B. I can successfully make arguments not with an ontological argument, but I have a justification for it. I have a good reason. You don't have any reasons. You just have your feelings. It disgusts me. Shmanda, you don't get to declare whether you're having a debate with me. You're the one who made the claim that abortion is a right. And now you won't deal with the implications of it nor defend it properly. You just want to wash your face with your feelings. Well, fucking, that's not useful or helpful at all. It's just being dumb. Whatever you feel about it. You don't have reason, so it must be your feeling. What else would it be? Why else do you attach to the claim that you made when you don't have any justifications for it? It's the only other reason is feelings. I mean, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that you're attached to a claim that you don't have any justifications for. I never get so attached to claims that I don't have justifications for.
Man, dude, this person is not even worth.
Now, Shamanda's worth plenty. I like Shamanda. Shamanda's been around plenty of times. Most times I have pleasant interactions with her.
Okay, well, let me put it this way. I'm disappointed in you, Shamanda.
A car thief in modern times would have been a horse thief hundreds of years ago. Today they steal a non-living thing, but in the days of old they had to take care of a living thing. So what is the important point you're making here, and the distinction between thieving things that are alive and things that are not alive? That back in the olden days, when thieves had an obligation to care for that which they stole, things were better? Well, what if they didn't fulfill that obligation? After all, they didn't fulfill their obligation not to steal from you. No, there are arguments in favor of abortion, Shreddy Chandran. You're not drowned in the voice of louder arguments.
Well, Eric, you understand with the horse, like, you don't, of course they don't have to take care of the horse, but if they don't, it'll like die or something and then it won't have any value. So
what if they just
won't be the fucking point of stealing it? Like,
well, maybe they got a buyer 15 minutes down the road. They
well, that would be great. Then they wouldn't have to do anything, but you know.
Any good knife brands in mind? Spyderco. Spyderco's a good knife brand. I've got a Spyderco. I've had it for a long time. It's very good. It's above our heads. He's a PhD after all. You can't lie on here. You can lie here. I probably won't catch you. Thank you, good sir or lady. I will sharpen it on the finest of whetstones. Now, you're a decent debater with credit from anyone who disagrees with you acting on feeling. I'm not. I don't say that.
Shreddy,
that is not what I am saying at all.
That's not what's happening here. That's not
I'm saying that this individual does not have any justifications for maintaining her position on her claim. She hasn't answered any of mine, and yet she's insistent that it is true nevertheless. That is a perfect. And I say you're just using your feelings. Then you're not using any sort of reasons at all, and that's a perfectly reasonable conclusion to draw.
It's very, very simple. She made a claim, couldn't back it up. Eric explained to her why. Now, you know, then she fucking backpedaled and said a bunch of dumb stuff that didn't really make any sense. And now I guess you agree with her, so you are now saying stuff that's not true?
I think it depends on when the baby becomes conscious. If it's not conscious, then it won't know it's alive and killing it's fine. What does it know it's alive when it's newly born? Does it know when it's alive when it's 9 months in the womb? Does it know it's alive when how do you qualify knowing when it's alive? Can you only say it knows it's alive when it can tell you that it knows it's alive? At that point, you can kill it to like age 6 or something. You just said that you Shamanda, Eric. You just said that you Shamanda?
Said that to Shamanda, is what she's saying. So she's putting words
I
in
did.
Her mouth, I guess,
no, I did say that to Shamanda. I said, you're just using your feelings.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
But I'm making a particular critique in this particular instance based on specific reasons. I'm not just generally saying, because you disagree with me, you're using your feelings. If you want to argue with me and make your arguments and they're cogent and they win the point, then you're obviously not using your feelings. Or there may be something where we both have good reasons, but we disagree on some fundamental point, in which case you're still not using your feelings necessarily. Okay? But in this instance, she is, because she's not giving me any reason. She's not answering anything I said. Thank you, Kimberly. You are the best.
Well,
Samantha, I agree with you. I have an advantage in the forum. It's not a fair forum to debate me. But fortunately, the abortion issue is pretty clear cut. All you have to do is produce a good, consistent, normative reason to conclude that it's okay to kill these. There's a distinct reason that differentiates between them and after birth babies. Or you have to concede that it's property. One of the two.
Yeah, Shamanda, you're obviously really trying to make this about something that it's not, because if you just face the simple truth, then like we wouldn't have to argue about it.
Yeah, you could say, here's my normative. Yeah. Here's my normative metric. It's Capacity for moral reasoning. That wouldn't fly, but it might be one that I've heard before. Or ability to survive outside the mother's womb. That's one I've heard before. It also doesn't make sustain scrutiny, but it's a decent thought. My ontological argument, the best one in favor of abortion, that until another being is actually known by other observers in the world, that it doesn't exist yet as a being, as an entity. The entityhood requires observational engagement. That's the best argument in favor of it. But even that doesn't sustain scrutiny. So, I mean, sorry, this is what it means to be serious about the subject. Is for you to make arguments on my side, like I'm doing on you right now. Because I know what I'm doing and I care about argumentation, not about abortion.
Yeah, you guys, you can't just say something that's demonstrably false and then say that it's just a matter of opinion. Like, that's all.
Yeah. Problem is, everyone has a different take on what's moral, when is the best time to kill or not. Well, that's the point. We need a principled metric. So there are some contexts in which we agree it is principled to kill. For example, self-defense.
So basically, as a punishment for an act, basically, it's only valid as a reciprocation, essentially, right?
But only insofar as it's both necessary and proportional.
Right.
So that's an example of a metric we can apply universally that fits into the rights framework. The rights framework requires us to have metrics that we can apply universally and that apply in this circumstance. Samanda's the one that put it in a rights-based framework to begin with. So now she has to live within that framework or reject it, one of the two, or do some sort of argumentation. She can't just throw up her hands and be like, just a different opinion.
Well, it's really not a matter of opinion. Like Eric says, like either you're killing something and you have to, you're killing someone and you have to prove why it's okay to do it, or you just strip away whatever humanity that it has, right, and consider it to be a thing that people have ownership of. And in that case, there's a different set of rules that apply.
Or you reject principlism entirely, as Shamanda does here, and take a utilitarian approach and says, I'm not arguing that at all. I'm arguing that if you take away abortion, there are possible future implications which create massive problems.
Oh. If you don't kill people, there could be some possible future implications.
We don't know. Some of those babies could turn into Hitlers. Right?
Right. That's true.
Why don't we just kill all the babies then?
Or we could end up with another 3 million kids with bachelor's degrees.
I know. Let's kill half the babies. We'll call it the Thanos solution. Half of them randomly. I think Shamanda would like that. Did you get your moral philosophy from Thanos, Shamanda?
Yeah, but oh my god.
It might be
really just don't have any sanctity for like the value of life. I just don't even believe what they're saying.
Who knows? Who knows what they're saying? Okay. Winston's mom says, Matter, you make my case, I'll make yours. I mean, I can win on plan B. I can win all the way up until the mother feels some indication of the baby inside of her. As soon as the mother feels the indication of the baby inside of her, it could be said that the baby then has been observed.
Okay, Shamanda, you could have had a horrible life with drug addict parents. Like what I could have. I've been addicted to drugs. Whatever. Doesn't mean I should have been aborted. I don't understand, like.
Well, And if you want it in a rights-based framework, the answer is because animals don't have rights. Now, I think humans have nevertheless obligations to animals and to people. But that actually is a separate issue. Unlike the thing you said was a separate issue before, which was absolutely not a separate issue, it was definitely salient to the issue at hand. And this is actually a separate issue.
Well, I guess Shamanda, yeah, I guess I'm arguing that if you were dead, it would matter.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Sorry.
I gotta say, I've never enjoyed that here, but Spacey is not my yes man. Spacey, believe it or not, for all his pleasantness, is always lying in the bushes, waiting for me to say something wrong, where he can correct me upon. That's okay. I can handle the scrutiny.
I mean, is this the crux of the issue, Eric? Does Shamanda not actually believe that Shamanda matters? Like,
The issue boils down to, why does someone feel the need to persuade and crusade instead of understand? I mean, you might say, why do I feel the need to persuade and crusade about argumentation instead of understand? My point would be, argumentation is the modality of understanding. So I'm crusading and persuading about understanding. Say, I want people to understand. Miranda needs to understand that how strongly she feels about it, if it's inconsistent with other values and stuff, she's just being arbitrary. She's got a higher duty than the moral agent. I'm not trying to have a debate. I'm teaching you right now. I'm teaching you about the arguments regarding this issue. You're not giving me reasons for anything, so you're not debating me at all. You're just saying words, which is fine. I'm not debating you at all because I'm just teaching you the reality of our argumentation on this issue.
well, this is exactly, to me, this is a huge part of the problem, Freddie, is the way that people think about this stuff, like that it's a burden and not like a fundamental biological component of what you are. And like I've even heard people call growing babies in their wombs like parasites or something. They're trying to get it like literally defined as a parasite. If you want to think about shit that way, then
No, I give you a conditional statement, Amanda. If in fact you don't have any reason, blah, 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 then you're just using your feelings, right? And that's a true statement. It's also conditional. I use words carefully. Bro, calm down. Do I seem agitated? I'm eating ice cream, drinking juice. When somebody disagrees with you, it means one of two things. Either your logic is wrong or the other person's logic is wrong, and therefore discussion is over. I agree with you.
Death cult shit.
No, man, I'm explaining to you. I'm teaching you about the argumentation on this issue. Remember, I'm a debate coach. I don't get attached to positions on things. I know how to make all the arguments on both sides. I know what the strongest arguments are for both sides.
Well, I actually am pretty attached to my position on this.
Right, I'm attached to my position that some of the arguments are correct and win. I'm attached to which arguments win because it's objectively so. I'm not attached to the issue itself. And the thing is Shreddy's saying, well, men get to walk away. All right, any sort of line of reasoning that says your words matter less because of who you are rather than what they say is always fallacious. Always fallacious. You don't understand, you're not a woman, you don't understand, you're not black, whatever. It's always fallacious. Never flies as an argument. So if you're making that argument as Freddie Chandran, you're walking down the wrong path. Well, Samantha, you're not the first student I've had who diligently tried not to learn from me. Not foreign to me. Nevertheless, people manage to learn things anyway, despite themselves. Yeah, it's fallacious. Doesn't require working definition. Remember, problematic definitions is also sort of problems. Hence, creating a definition is also a denial of humanity can be abused. Dawson K says, so you're both pro-life and don't think abortion is right morally? Me? I mean, I can't see a way to normatively justify it. So it's subject to the same moral prohibitions that any other act against human being is. Trying to, we're all each other's students. I'm learning from you right now. Maybe not that you'd like me to learn, but I'm learning nevertheless. I always try to learn.
Do we not have a child support system? I don't know where this shit's coming from now.
And if you claim that a woman should have the baby since she's complicit in it, then shouldn't the man have to face an equal burden of child support? I mean, I think the man should have equal right to claim to be the primary caregiver. I didn't want to pay child support because I wanted to be the primary caregiver. If I didn't want to be the primary caregiver, then I would obviously have to pay child support. In my country, men pay plenty of child support. This is a live stream, Eric. Do you know where you are right now? Are you having flashbacks? I am in my garage. I'm not having any flashbacks. How does one shut the abortion barn door once opened? I mean, I'm not interested really in the policy issue. I'm just saying, you know.
Just saying, yeah, admit when you're wrong about something.
You know, I think there should be exceptions ever. So if the life of the mother is actually severely threatened by childbirth, then there's no reason why the mother should have to give up her own life in defense of another life. That should not be required of her. She has the right to. In that case, it's basically self-defense. So in that case, it's legitimate. Plan B is okay because of my ontological proof. It's a strong argument. I don't think it can be beaten, frankly. But what about abortion when the woman is a significant risk of dying? Yeah, then she should be able to abort it. You know, people don't say they're pro-abortion.
Yeah, they say they're pro-choice.
Yeah, but if you've got to come for a euphemism for the thing you're in favor of, you got a problem. I've already made my point many times, Miranda. So Hero Lamb's pro-murder. Wow, that's a rare stance. You rarely hear people really take that bold stance and be pro-murder. My choice: kill children or not needs to be respected.
I don't know, CJ. The problem seems to be seeing it as a choice in the first place.
Right. It's like we don't. It's true that whether or not I kill somebody today is a choice, I guess. But it's kind of the wrong word. Like life-altering decision of grave consequence might be approaching a better way to put it. CJ says abortion is just fucking weird there. Shannon says, Eric, you seem to be the only one getting emotional. Spacey likes to make wild claims based on opinions I have. What makes you think I'm getting emotional? Do I seem very emotional? I don't feel very emotional right now. Maybe I am. I don't know. I do get emotional about truth and justice, It's like I don't care if you want to be pro-abortion, but don't try to blow smoke on my ass, Don't try to pretend like there's good justifications for it, that it's all right, that makes sense, things like that. Come on. That's just disrespectful to everybody. I mean, it's like to expect people to buy bullshit is just disrespectful. As an NF, I tend to interpret NTP passionate rants as emotional. That doesn't mean they are so. I do tend to display a lot of emotion. Who wins in a fight, Spacey or Eric Spacey? Look how muscular he is. Very muscular. He rode and crewed.
Rick.
Oh, what? Oh, you want this? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're doing. I thought you were doing some jazz freestyling back there.
Heavy jazz.
Yeah.
It's a heavy gassage.
You said you called abortion a right.
It's just gonna repeat.
Why do you ignore when I already answered these questions?
It's just gonna keep saying, "Yo, dude, stop being so defensive. Stop being weird, shit like that." So it's gonna go in a permanent cycle.
Okay, well, I do the work I expect anybody else to do, which is to answer a question. You ask me directly, and I give you the correct answer. I mean, all life is sacred, so it's tough. Not all life is sacred. Flies are not sacred to me. I kill a lot of flies. What's my normative justification for it? I don't really have one. I fucking hate them. I swat the shit out of those fuckers. I pour maggots when I find them in the trash can on the ground for the chickens to eat.
Yeah, I hate mosquitoes because of feelings.
Yeah, just arbitrary. It's fine. I don't need to justify killing all those flies.
Flies aren't that bad. I don't understand why they want to land on me so bad.
Why do they want to land near me?
Like eat all the. I don't know.
Like, what do they?
What's the purpose?
Yeah.
None at all.
Man, don't light enough.
Maybe just like that we're warm or something like that. I don't fucking disgusting.
Want to eat our meat.
I don't like babies. They're annoying and crying, and they're very lazy. Never ask how you're doing. It's all about them. It's true. They're selfish. Babies are. I kill everything in sight. Why it's fun? Well, that makes you a threat to civilization. Remember the original The Fly, 1958? David Hedison died recently. I don't remember the original The Fly. David Hedison. I don't know who that is. Okay, what if we had strict guidelines? Well, but you'd have to justify why put the line there. Why put the line there and not somewhere else? There needs to be some reason for that. It can't just be arbitrary. Because you want to have some abortions for draw a line here. I can give you a good argument in favor of Plan B because there's a good reason to draw a line where I draw it. The good place you could draw the line potentially is at any moment before the mother has any physical awareness of the baby inside of her. So has no symptoms at all of pregnancy, anything like that, then at that point you can say the baby doesn't exist yet because it hasn't been ontologically experienced by anybody. You've got to abort in a way that doesn't allow you to learn that ahead of time too, as Plan B does. In that case, you don't know whether you killed anybody or not, and you can't make the claim successfully that anything ever existed, so it's not possible to critique the behavior. Plan B is a pill you take after you had sex and you didn't wear a condom and there wasn't any birth control pills or whatever, and you think you might get pregnant. It was a bad time of the month, you were ovulating. So you take it like within a couple of days after you had sex. And
no, a couple hours.
Okay, well, whatever the time frame is. And then it'll abort whatever you have inside of you. So if you have anything inside of you, it'll flush it out. If something is going to be growing outside, like...
It prevents your body from...
Yeah.
Latching onto, like, or releasing an egg or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Right. Philosophical thinker is correct. I'm not debating, I'm analyzing the logic. I'm analyzing the logic of this issue. Okay, but see, look, if you actually care about people, Samantha, then you'll care most about the logic of the issue, because that's how we actually realize things in the world. For most of human history, people have always justified, let's just go ahead and violate these rights. Let's go ahead and ignore our principles. Let's go ahead and ignore our values. Let's go ahead and apply them haphazardly and arbitrarily, and assume that our vision at the moment about this narrow issue is wiser than our vision about principles. And it's always led us astray. It always has. People like you are why we had Japanese internment camps. Because they made exactly the same argument. You just need to care about winning the debate rather than solving the larger problem. I'm worried about the Japanese fucking in this country destroying our infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. Let's put them in internment camps. I'm actually concerned for the Americans affected, not about winning the debate here. Your principled logic saying we shouldn't put the Japanese in internment camps shouldn't win the day here. What I want is more important. I'm Shmanda. That's what you're saying. That's all you're doing. You're not making real arguments. You're not caring. You're not being a caring person. Caring people make real arguments about the fact that we have principles we need to adhere to. And if somebody violates those principles, even if it seems real convenient and nice, we shouldn't do it. And that's reality. Maybe we should abort babies based on race and eye color. Of course, you'll have to have the baby first to see those traits, but if they don't fit the criteria, abort them after examining. That's good.
Stephen wants to sleep the door.
Is Stephen sitting on the couch or next to the couch?
No, I'm sitting on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Crisscross applesauce.
It's a joke, Sweaty Chandler. Nobody's suggesting anybody abort on race. Because race and eye color are like arbitrary kind of things. You know, eye color at least is a physical trait, but race is just a completely arbitrary distinction. It's just a joke saying just abort on whatever random whim you want. Right. Sarah Keel going in is right. I don't care what people do with their bodies. I'm just tired of everyone having their own logic. Right. You don't get to have your own fucking logic. You don't get to have your own facts. You don't get to have your own logic. You get to have your own interpretation, but not your own facts and logic. And that does piss me off. You know, so when people. Okay, so those are people who are human beings and alive and determined to torture. Unborn babies are not yet humans. A heartbeat doesn't necessarily constitute a human being. Unborn babies are distinct organisms of a given species, correct, Shmanda? They are, indisputably so. And that species is Homo sapiens, correct. They are distinct human beings. Whether or not they meet your qualification for fully human enough to qualify as a human, you need to come up with a legitimate reason for that. A heartbeat doesn't necessarily constitute a human being. So what does? How about being of the species Homo sapiens sapiens? Would that constitute being a human being?
I think that's a pretty good definition for that.
Yeah, because that's what that distinct organism inside of a woman is. It's an individual instance of the species Homo sapiens sapiens. That seems a good definition of a human being. Now, why is it this feeling pain thing? So if I'm numbed adequately with anesthesia, it's okay to kill me. I won't feel any pain. It doesn't hold water. It doesn't sustain scrutiny. That's just how it is. We can't do anything when the rhetorical slope is too steep. You cannot successfully convince me that bashing toddlers in the head with a club is okay because somehow toddlers don't mind clubs. It's too steep a rhetorical slope. You can't win that argument because the facts are against you. Reality is against you. Logic is against you. So, that's what I'm saying here. You just have to accept that reality. You can't deny reality when you don't like it. You can't be like, no, I am 7 feet tall when you're only 5 feet tall. Over and over again. There's no point in that. Did she ever get her bowl or what?
Yeah.
Oh.
She just.
So Dick Cheney's not a person. Now, granted, Dick Cheney's not a person, but if he were a person, he still wouldn't be a person because he doesn't have a heartbeat because that machine he's got in his chest instead. So, I mean, if everybody wants to go kill Dick Cheney, I'm not going to cry over it. But, the point is, if I have an artificial heart, I don't want to be suddenly subject to murder. Babies in utero have a history and human experience as well.
It's true.
Just because you don't remember it, Shamanda, doesn't mean your pre-birth period was less critical to your development as a human being than your post-birth period. It's more than one aspect which determines human life. So which combination of aspects at which proportions make that determination? Or is it just Shamanda's arbitrary decision as to whatever works, as long as we get abortion? Whatever random splay of unique qualities we can isolate to pre-birth babies, then that's good enough because it's just arbitrary. It's just Shamanda's arbitrary wishes. Is that what you're saying? Surely you don't expect me to respect
There you go.
that.
She said she already stated that.
She already stated what?
What you just said. So
That it's just arbitrary?
yes.
I mean, that's just silly. I just want to go to bed. Fetal alcohol syndrome is terrible. I mean, if you want to say we should punish women for drinking alcohol when they're pregnant, I'd entertain the discussion topic. I'm not filling in my own answer, Shamanda. You haven't answered any question I've asked you meaningfully. You've not engaged with any of the ideas I've presented meaningfully. You've more or less ignored me. In contrast to what I've done to you, I've answered what you said. I've read what you said. I've directly addressed your points. I've given you multiple reasons. I've explained to you the logic of the thing. So, that's how it is. Yes, you have what? You haven't answered the question. Do you want it to be property or is it a human being? Which is it? You haven't answered that question. or something else? If it's something else, what other thing is it? Look, Freddie Chandran, utilitarian arguments are doomed to fail in this calculus because it's not a utilitarian calculation. It's not like because the thing is, people don't choose whether to abort or not on these metrics. People don't go, well, I'm going to have to bear more of the child raising responsibility, so I don't want to have the child. Most people who have a child want to have a child and never even consider abortion. So those things are crazy arguments. They're not, it's arguing from the margins. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what is it then, Samantha, if it's not a human being yet? Is it property or not? See, you don't want to answer the question. Okay, so Shamanda, what is the status of the thing inside of the mother? Is it her property or is it a human being? Or something else? See, you don't want to engage with the issue. This is what I'm saying. This is what's wrong with you. I'm not going to, Shmeta, I'm not agitated. I'm frustrated. If you wanted to actually engage with the topic and be meaningfully a human being who knows how to discuss something, then you want to answer that question. You want to hear the fact that, oh, I have added understanding of this. But instead, you want to paint me in a bunch of fucking false lights, like I'm all agitated and emotional and need to calm down and stuff. Shit that's clearly you projecting, or if not, just you fucking being malicious and outright lying about me, I guess. I don't know. You don't have to act in the exact same way as me, but you're making public policy statements, Shmanda. You're saying this should apply to everybody, that everybody should do it Shmanda's way. So as a consequence, this is what happens. Your wrongness gets engaged by decent people who care, like me. And say, no, I'm not going to let you impose your wrongness on everybody. Sorry. I will respond to it appropriately. You can sit there and stew in your wrongness all you want, Shmanda, but I'm not going to let you publicly state your wrongness as though we're fact and just get away with it. Obviously, that would be wrong of me. Shmanda, you don't want to respond to anything, Shmanda. If you did, you'd answer the first fucking question I asked many times now. Is it property or human being? You don't want to answer that question. So there you go. And then you say, I don't have to engage the same way as you do. You don't. Then stop and shut your fucking mouth about public policy then. Stop trying to force your opinions on everybody else. Makes sense, huh? Okay, well, Freddie Chandran, India's problems don't matter to me at all. All right, let me explain that right up about. I'm talking about abortion as a moral issue. The issue of whether or not fathers bear enough responsibility for the child. In America, they bear plenty, probably even in a lot of cases, too much responsibility for the child. So we have the opposite problem here, great thing. It's like there are men who are paying child support while the woman's with a new man who makes good money, but they don't get married so that she has to still pay child support too. It's like that shit happens all the time. Shamanda, you made a public claim that abortion was a right. You're saying, therefore, it ought to be treated as a right in the public policy sphere. That's not in any dispute here. Now, you need to fucking check yourself. There are facts and realities, and then there's Shmanda's feelings, and they are different things. I'm not arguing against abortion just for in the U.S. I'm saying if the reason, one good reason we ought not consider the utilitarian policy impacts like well, do men bear enough child support responsibility or something, is that it varies from country to country, and the issue is a moral issue that's universal. So we're articulating the universal moral considerations of the issue and how they play out argumentationally. Okay.
All right. He's basically, he's not saying that it shouldn't be allowed. He's just saying that you can't justify it.
Right.
Which,
it's a lot easier to commit murder than it is to justify it. You want to go off and commit murder where it's legal, go for it. But don't tell me it was okay. Right, Shamanda, so you don't have to decide between property and human. You've already stated you don't believe it's a human, and you're hesitant to say it's property. So you need to identify what it is then if you want us to take seriously any claims you have about how it ought to be treated. If you don't know what it is, how can we take you seriously about how it should be treated? We can't, possibly. That would be wrong of us. Now, you have a strong opinion about this, but you don't even know what it is you have a strong opinion about. That's a problem. I know what it is. You're dodging the question, Shamanda. What is it that you have an opinion about? It matters a lot. Okay? If you want to break something and it's a stick from the yard, fine. And it's my leg, not okay. So it matters what the thing is that you want to break. See, Shamanda? No, what is it, Shamanda? You said you don't believe it's human. You said you're hesitant to say it's property. You said you do believe the mother can choose what she wants to do with it, also considering the father's rights. You did not answer the question. I asked you the question, is it property, human, or something else? And if something else, what is it? So don't lie and say you answered the question when you did not answer the question. And the thing is, again, Shamanda, I am not angry or upset or whatever about abortion. I could not give a fuck less about it. But the fact that people like you have public policy opinions without any consideration of the responsibility that goes along with that is fucking appalling. It is a part of the mother and father's own body. It's not part of my body, is it? Once it's out of my ball sack and my penis and merges with that ovum, it's no longer part of my body. You might say it's part of the mother, so it's a part of her body. So are parts of a person's body their property? Yes. So, okay, it's property. That's what you're saying. Yes? But it's not an extension of my body. In no meaningful word analysis does the word extension apply to me. It is absolutely not an extension of my body. It is something I made. So it's property then. That's your position. Then say that. Say those words then. And deal with all the consequences thereof. Have an actual position. That's what's wrong with the world, basically.
I know, Eric.
All right. It's like you have a position without any fucking substance to it. It's just the flimsy shadow of a position. And it's offensive. I gotta go. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.